So before we get started, check out the following links in the description box below as highlighted in the image shown. So you'll be able to get our past papers, our link to our official website, link to accreditations, our link to donation page, and contact details in the description. So once you'll be watching a certain video of any lesson or of any past paper, you'll be able to get all these links, and you can be able to get to download past papers, to reach to our official website. You'll be able to see links to our accreditations so that you can see which authorities have accredited us. You'll be able to reach to our donation page as well as our contact details.
Welcome back. This is HRIS paper that was done in June 2023, and we're looking at question 5 of that paper. So question 5 has two parts, A and B. We'll start with the first one, A. ABG Limited has upgraded its human resource information system to include a human resource analytics module. Examine 5 roles undertaken in this module. So, has upgraded its human resource information system to include a human resource analytics module. Examine 5 roles undertaken in this module. Human resource analytics module. So the key word here is human resource analytics module. That is what has been introduced into the program. So they want the 5 roles undertaken in this module, human resource analytics module. Now, keyword here by all standards is this word analytics. Analytics is basically about, when we talk about analytics, what should come into your mind is data, and basically the usage of this data, or rather the processing of the data to information, and eventually using that data, using that information. So processing the data into information and eventually using this information to get insights, informed insights. So we have data being transformed into information, then using that information to make useful decisions from the insights that have been provided by that information. So I will simply say human resource analytics model, we are introducing the data or business intelligence techniques that will help the HR department to make decisions and eventually improve organizational performance. That's basically what the whole thing is all about, because anytime you hear the word analytics, we are looking at processing the data to get information, and that information will help us to get insights that can help us make very good informed decisions for the organization. Now let's go back to the question again. ABG Limited has upgraded its human resource information system to include a human resource analytics module. Examine 5 roles undertaken by this module. So the first role that this module is going to play, 5 roles undertaken in this module. Number 1. Now, this question, you can approach it from 2 angles. I'm debating on how to go about it. You can go straight to the roles. Or you can also look at it approach it from the functional point of view. The various roles in human resource, the various, those, let me not talk of departments, but sub departments, if we have, especially if we're talking about big organizations, or even let me just say the roles in HR. Like we can talk of talent acquisition. Talent acquisition is basically involves, we look at the recruitment, we look at selection, we look at onboarding process, possibly. Let's talk of all this: talent acquisition, recruitment, selection, onboarding. And so we can look at it from that angle, talent acquisition. Then after that, possibly look at performance. Then after that, we look at the relationships. We look at retention and turnover, and possibly that kind of, okay. Then we can also look at it in terms of planning, and then compensation. All these are various areas that we can look at. And so then we start asking ourselves, what will be the role of the human resource analytics model in these functions within the HR docket? What are the roles of the HR analytics module that will be introduced to each of those functions, HR functions that we've just listed? So for example, we'll talk about talent acquisition. What is the role of HR analytics module in talent acquisition and recruitment? Talent acquisition, that is recruitment, selection, and whatever exercise. And part of the roles that we are going to look at is that they will help us analyze the patterns. They will help us analyze the patterns of recruitment, of selection, basically the entire hiring process, the trends in the hiring process. How? Because the entire hiring process or talent acquisition process will be captured data-wise, and that data can always be subjected to further treatment, so that at the end of the day, we have the ratios that can tell us how effective we are in terms of recruitment, or can also tell us how efficient we are. And we are looking at ratios like, or other metrics, such as the time to hire. How long did it take us to get the right person? What is the cost per hire? You know, those are now the analytics that we are talking about. The cost per hire. We are talking about the, you know, which other metric can we talk about? Time to hire, cost to hire, maybe. I think some of these metrics have just disappeared. But those are the metrics that we're talking about. Time to hire, cost to hire. Those are metrics that will basically help us to assess our efficiency and our effectiveness level when it comes to this exercise of talent acquisition. And that is now where this the definition comes from, that we are using now the data. Remember, what we have is the data on how many people we manage to hire, what is the cost. That is data. But then this data is processed so that we get the information, like now time per hire, time to hire, cost per hire, and that can help us to make future decisions. So we can say that this analytics module will help us analyze the pattern of the pattern and the trends, which of course will help us in future decision making. Then let's now move to the next item, which is now the, what is this? Performance. So the next item is performance. Let's look at performance. So performance in terms of performance, for HR performance, we normally measure HR, and we measure in what we call the appraisals. So we have appraisals. It can be quarterly appraisal, can be semi-annual appraisals, it can be end of year appraisals, but these appraisals will help us with the data. That data can always be processed to get information so that we now know how these people have performed, and through that information we can even predict and forecast their future performance, the requirements, if there are any. We can use that information to vary the goals. We can use that information to, it's about processing data to get information that can help us make further decisions as a result of the insights that we've gotten from that information that has been processed. So, under performance, we can simply say that the HR analytic module will help track employee performance and productivity. And we are looking at metrics like key performance indicators, how the employee has fared in terms of achieving his goals. And these records will be there. The analytic module can always play with it and give us real-time information, which of course will be very important in terms of helping us to make a decision. So what I can say about that, the role that comes out clearly is that we are able to know the performance levels real-time. We are able to know the real-time performance levels. We are able to determine who the high performers are, who the underperforming who the high performers are, who the underperforming employees are. And when we talk about motivation, promotions, training, which areas to train, which kind of staff to train, simply what comes at the back of my mind is that we will make informed decisions. We will not just make it decisions for the sake of it. We will make decisions that are objective, that are informed as a result of this analytical module, because it's giving us real-time updated information. At the end of the day, we will not have issues of biasness in the organization, biased promotions. We will not have issues of favorism in the organization. All those are things that will just disappear. So again, we can see the role coming out there clearly. Then retention and turnover. Of course, the metrics can be used, can help us to know the retention levels, if we are good at retaining employees, or if we have a high turnover level. Turnover is the number of people who leave the organization. And this data that will just be, the system will be capturing this data. And of course, when it processes it, we are able to see real-time information, which has captured the up-to-date information as it is on how the company is faring on in terms of retaining the staff, or if the turnover rate is high or low. And of course, there's much that is associated with retention and turnover analysis. The mode of separation, how did you separate with the staff? Did you conduct an exit interview? And if you conducted the exit interview, what were the reasons of the exit? All those things will be captured. And then this analytical module will now be able to process that data and give you information. That information is what will be very helpful now to us, because it will enable you to know why possibly things are happening the way they are happening, why we have a high retention level, why we have a high turnover rate. And of course, this can help you take corrective measures, take corrective measures well in advance. It can also help predict the future for planning purposes, because if we have a high turnover rate, of course, that is not a trend that we are just going to wish away. Chances are very high that tomorrow we'll also still face the same problem. So, it prepares us for tomorrow by identifying the pattern and giving us the reasons why those things happen, so that we can take, whole, corrective measures that will help stabilize everything. Then I think I've mentioned something on planning, but planning, very important, of course. We plan using information. We don't plan using data. Data is processed by this analytical module to give us information. So this information is a key tool that can help us in planning. It can help us to understand the future of the organization in terms of demand of the workers, supply of the workers in the industry, projections, market trends, all those. And now there's nothing good like that when managers are able to know or to determine the future with some level of certainty before it happens. Simply put, it helps you see ahead of time. And so you are in a position to prepare for tomorrow. If tomorrow carries risks, you are able to put all the measures to control those risks ahead of time. If tomorrow gives you opportunities, you are able to prepare yourself to tap and exploit those opportunities so that they don't come and go. Then, of course, we've also said that the other function is compensation. And under compensation, the HR analytics module will help you analyze the salaries of the employees, the benefits, the equity and fairness in terms of what they earn. Sometimes there are these employees who earn a lot in allowances and, allowances and those other perks, so that at the end of the day, they can even, be earning higher than even their bosses. So this analytical module helps us to get all that data of whatever it is that they earn, for example, and it processes them into the overall salary, of course, which can now be used to determine whether to maintain some of those policies as they are, or to change some of those policies, or to change some of the perks. It basically drives decision making, and I will say towards fairness, towards equity, towards realigning with the market, all those things. So what are we saying in short? That the role of that the human resource analytics module will help in decision making, will help in control through the information, will help in planning function, it's planning for human resource, the rest will help organize yourself, will help. Basically, these are managerial functions, and you might want to look at them from the functional point of view. These are HR functions. How this analytical module will help each of these functions, what we've just been discussing. Or you might want to go straight to the roles, and then you explain how the analytical module will help ease decision making. And I think we've talked so much about decision making. Control, we've mentioned control, we've mentioned planning, we've mentioned organizing function of management, and of course the fairness, equity. Those are some of the things that I've been mentioning here. Fairness, equity in decision making. I've mentioned them so many times, and We can also talk of efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency and effectiveness in the organization, alignment with the organizational goals, improved personal satisfaction and performance levels. All those are the roles of this. What is important is for you to understand that when you talk about analytical models, you're talking about information. So what is the importance of information to the managers? Information is very key because it helps in decision making. Information helps in controlling, information helps in planning, information helps in organizing, putting the resources together. Information helps in fairness, ensuring fairness, equity among the salaries of the staff and the group. Information helps ensure efficiency and effectiveness, and if they don't exist, how do we make them exist? So all those come into play. I think, don't get confused. I've looked at two ways of answering this question. One, straight away going to the roles, and the second way is by approaching from the functions of the human resource, and then against each function you mention the role of HRA, human resource analytical module, to that particular role. So each of those can just go for 5 points, and you'll be able to get your 10 marks if you explain each of the points well. So let's go to part B of that question. The ICT manager of Neotech Company Limited is preparing a presentation for new recruits on ethical issues in using modern information technology. Outline the contents of the presentation. This is a fairly easy question, and I'm saying easy because this is one of the issues that all organizations are talking about now. Everybody's talking about this. It's an issue that is on everybody's mouth. And so it should not be a problem to you either, because everybody's talking about this. Ethical issues in using modern information technology. The truth is that modern information technology has done superb things. It has moved organizations to totally different levels, and organizations are really doing well as a result of this. But it has also come in with its fair challenges. Of course, it has a good number of challenges that is really eating on people, and of course people are living up to the challenge. People are trying to cope up with the challenges that the modern information technology is offering. So those are some of the issues that will basically address these new recruits. The challenges that the modern information technology comes up with, and some of the measures that have been put forward to help counter those challenges. And that's where they really have to come in, because they need to make sure that they live to support the organization in terms of countering the challenge, the modern information technology challenges. So let's go back to the question. The ICT manager of Neotech Company is preparing a presentation for new recruits on ethical issues in using modern information. Outline the content of the presentation. Number one, introduction. What is IT? What is modern IT? What is ethics? What are some of the ethical issues in using modern information technology? So basically there will be a huge chunk of information on introduction, and that's where the IT expert, the ICT manager, will be trying to define what ethics is, the relevance of ethics to the organization, and possibly the role of ethics in an organization, relevance of ethics in IT, relevance of ethics in the organization, and all of that, so that they can appreciate ethics And then, of course, after that, we'll also talk about the challenges that come with the modern IT. So introduction, this is basically the definitions. Then challenges that the modern IT comes up with. And then and even before the challenges, I think we'll have, first of all, to appreciate relevance of IT, relevance of modern IT, then challenges posed by the modern IT. And then after looking at the challenges, we'll now look at some of the ways to combat the challenges, and this is very important now to them, very important. So here I expect the ICT manager to talk about things like the Data Protection Act, so that they know how far they can go in terms of using people's information. So is it Data Protection and Privacy Act? Something like that, Privacy Act. Very important for these new recruits to know how far they can go in terms of using information or data that belongs to their clients or stakeholders. Very important. Then I expect also him to talk about the cyber security and hacking, and the emphasis should be on how to prevent hacking the system. So the possible threats that come with cyber security threats, and how they can prevent hacking behavior. I also expect him to talk about the copyright and the intellectual property issue. This is also very important because with IT, people can easily misuse somebody's information, and by doing that will be infringing on other people's rights, which can actually pose a threat to the organization. Then I'll also expect him to talk about the social whatever, the WhatsApp and the group, social media and online behavior. I'll expect him to talk about the social media and online behavior, so that these people don't just waste time every time they're on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, and there are so many of those social media items, and instead know how to use these tools positively to improve the organization. I will also expect him to talk about the data analytics, which is very important. We've mentioned we mentioned it up there. Data analytics is about how they can utilize data to get information that can help them make informed decisions. So I'll expect him to talk about this at some point, so that they don't use the information in its raw form, and possibly data analytics will go with reporting how they should make use of this information. These are some of the possibly we can talk of the importance of the modern IT in terms of presentation of reports, in terms of decision making, in terms of I expect him to talk about, so that these new recruits have a totally different picture when it comes to modern information technology. They should see more of the positivities, what the modern communication the technology can do to them, to their personal development and to the organizational development, as opposed to the negative vices that are associated with this. We have quite a number of vices, and perhaps I will also expect him to talk about the policies of the organization, which I expect should capture how, rather, some of the things that are outrightly a no to the organization, like pornographies and everything. They should have been captured in the company policies, and they should definitely be mentioned here so that we don't have a misuse of the technology. I think those are some of the critical items. Perhaps I will also talk of I think artificial intelligence, that will come under analytics. They need to exploit that, and how they can use IT to make ethical decisions. How they can use IT to make ethical decisions. And by ethical decisions, what I mean is, I think what will just let's restrict ourselves to objectivity. How IT can be used to make objective decisions as opposed to subjective decisions. And they should strive to make factual data decisions that can be supported by facts. And of course, IT comes into play. Those are the positivities. All the positivity should come out clearly while condemning the negativities. And of course, how IT can also help the organization to achieve legal and the compliance measures, legal and compliance, the expectations, legal and compliance expectations. And it becomes very easy when you are using technology to achieve this, as opposed to when you are just doing these things manually. So with that, thank you. I rest. I hope that is how the report will be, because this was a report. It's preparing a presentation. So outline the contents of it was not a report. Outline the contents of the presentation. These are some of the things that I really expect him to capture. Thank you. Let's meet in the next question.
So if you like this video, you can always enroll with us. You'll be able to access more of these revision sessions. And also you'll be able to find well done lectures or pre-recorded videos for all the KASNEB courses, as well as Rchrp. And in case of anything, you can always reach us out. We have our contact details on the screen. Feel free to call, feel free to WhatsApp anytime. So thank you, and let's meet in our next session.